So the thing you're always looking for when you get on the air, whether it's a TV show or a radio show, for me anyway, is you're trying to find the humanity in a story. You know, what does everybody kind of relate to about this? Not what do the Republicans think? What do the Democrats think? Like, what's in it for us? That's what I always say. And when it comes to crime, this is the one promise I can make you. Crime is not a Republican issue. It is not a Democrat issue. Okay? It is straight up just a life or death issue. D.C. had 468 carjackings this year. They never asked the people they were carjacking who they were voting for.
That's true. That is true.
There's a lot of things they say when they whip open the car door at gunpoint, none of which is, so who do you think's going to win the midterms? Be honest. No. They're not saying that. They're saying, hey, get the out of the car before I blow your and you usually get out of the car. Okay, but at no point do they ask what you think about Biden's border policy or Trump's no tax on tips. So when I try to come at this, I try to come at it from a, why are they doing this? And I truly can't wrap my head around this. But basically last night in the media, we got another round from the Democrats telling us straight up that what Trump is doing is evil and wrong and it's authoritarian and it's Hitler stuff. And it's, to be honest with you, it's embarrassing. Okay, I work in the media. Yes, I have my own TV show on the biggest channel in the world. I, too, get hair and makeup and surrounded by all kinds of fabulous people in fancy clothes, people with much better genetics than me. Like, I'm getting followed around by a guy in wardrobe who wants me to stop eating.
Put that cookie down now!
But when you start to hear these perspectives from the people who are essentially immune to the crime they're trying to dismiss, you realize it goes beyond, like, broken. Everybody likes to say, Trump broke these people. And if Trump does anything, they're just going to do the opposite. That's partly true, but this goes beyond that. Okay? We've all hated people. You understand? We've all broken up with somebody and been upset about it. But we didn't let that divorce us from our senses. You understand? If you're dating a girl that you really, really like, and she winds up dating another guy, you don't go, that's it, I'm going to cut my she likes, well, then I'm just not going to have one. Not going to have one. That's the Democrat approach to crime. Okay, Trump's setting in the National Guard. Why? I'll let him tell you. Okay, according to the numbers, Washington, D.C. is not a state. Do you understand? It has a much smaller population than your average state in this country. Yet if Washington, D.C. were a state, it would have the highest murder rate in the nation.
That can't be good.
So the idea that anybody wants to have a semantic debate, well, crime is down. Yeah, crime is down. If you're not reporting violent crime and you can't charge juveniles, crime is down. Like, I could say to you, the calls to 911 are down. If, in fact, I took the phone off the hook at 911. I go, what do you mean, crime? Nobody even called 911 last night. Yeah, because the phone was off the hook. They don't care. They're more concerned with winning the semantic argument than they are with actually protecting people. And there's so much audio I'm going to play you today that will blow your mind when it comes to the indifference. Here's Chuck Schumer, okay, saying he's not going to let the D.C. thing hold up. We're going to fight him to the death. You saw Chuck Schumer saying he feels safe walking down the street. Of course Chuck Schumer feels safe walking down the street. Little kids don't want to attack him. They think he's a character on The Simpsons. No one's going to beat up Mr. Burns in real life. Come on, Schumer.
Chuck Schumer is a clown.
Okay, you got Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C., whose own police unit is saying, hey, we need help. Crime's out of control. They took the teeth out of law enforcement. We can't do our jobs. We can't prosecute the minors as adults that are literally committing murders. But here's Muriel Bowser trying to tell you, oh, it's a step towards fascism. Listen to this, clip 16.
He wants to send the message to cities that if he can get away with this in Los Angeles, if he can get away with this in D.C., he can get away with it in New York or Baltimore or Chicago or any other place where millions of people live, work, and are doing everything the right way. And it is a step in fascism when the federal government can Bigfoot sovereign states.
Oh, God.
Some of these women, they're so stupid.
So stupid. Because you understand, it's not a step towards fascism, because the President of the United States is the commander-in-chief of our armed forces, of which the National Guard is part. Wes Moore, governor of Maryland, had the same problem. Here he is, clip 3.
I am very clear that I will work with anyone, but I will bow down to no one. And I understand where my constitutional authority begins, and I understand where my constitutional authority allows me to do. And as the commander-in-chief of the Maryland National Guard, I have the sole responsibility and the sole honor of being able to determine how, when, and why the Maryland National Guard is utilized. And it's something that I've done.
This is the biggest schmuck I've ever met.
And I say that why? Because Donald Trump actually does have the constitutional authority to send in the National Guard. He is the president of the United States. He is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. It's called the National Guard.
Bingo.
So you understand there's a couple sides to this. There's the side that's admitting it, okay, and I will give some members of MSNBC credit. They have flat out admitted, like, hey, why the hell are we doing this? We look stupid right now. I'll give them that credit. Okay, but then there's this other side that says, well, no, you don't understand. It's fascism. It's the color of the mayor. That's the problem. It's the color of the mayor. Here's Barbara Lee, mayor of Oakland, clip 9.
But let me just say also, it's not lost on anyone that the cities that he is calling out, first of all, have large numbers of black and brown people. Secondly, the crime rate is going down in all of these cities. Thirdly, they're all headed by black mayors. Now, what does that say? What does that picture paint? So we all know who he is. Also, let me just say here in Oakland, for example.
Oh, man, come on, Barbara Lee.
Look, if you hate cops just because they're cops, the next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead.
Seriously, okay? It has nothing to do with black and white. Guys, do you understand that 90% of the people being killed in these cities are black people? And you want it, that's a real thing. And Barbara Lee's out here saying, yeah, Trump's just trying to send in the National Guard because he doesn't like black people. You know, if he liked him, he'd get the National Guard out of the way so they could just keep on getting killed. Like, is anybody even listening to themselves? These are actually just stupid people. Like, Trump derangement syndrome is a phrase we use to kind of categorize people making bad decisions. But it's so much bigger than politics, okay? These are just actually stupid people, okay? I will give you this. Here's Joe Scarborough, straight up, on MSNBC. And it's starting to dawn on him. You know, hey, maybe we shouldn't lean into everything Trump does because we start to look psychotic when it comes to the issue of crime. But it's only dawning on him just the same because he has realized, oh, yeah, I was doing this too. I was this dumb a week ago. I was yelling about ICE deportations. It was the number one issue in the election. Okay, Trump wanted to get rid of violent migrant criminals. Joe Scarborough is one of those people fighting it, calling it fascism and everything in between. But now that he realizes just how unpopular it is, because again, it's crime. Crime is not about race. That's not how
race is not where the line is drawn. It's God's side and the other side.
And if Cat Williams knows that, everybody else should be able to figure it out. Here's Joe Scarborough, clip 10.
91% of Washington residents say crime is a problem. 91%. 51%, it is an extremely serious problem. We've had people before put this in racial terms. And this is, I must say, this is one thing that I think Democrats have gotten so wrong about crime. So wrong about crime. Let me just read the Washington Post here. There are stark divides among the lines of race and income in the poll, with black residents and lower income residents significantly more worried about crime than white residents and those with higher incomes.
Oh, my word, Joe Scarborough.
I admire your honesty.
Give him that. We're going to talk about this with Charles McBee later in the show. Charles McBee is a superstar comedian. He's a huge Instagram influencer. He's on Fox News Saturday night this weekend. It's one of my good buddies. Nothing infuriates black people like woke white people telling them they know what's best for them. And that's what this media backlash is. Black people, did you hear it, Joe Scarborough? 91% of black residents in D.C. say crime is a problem. Thank you, Donald Trump. Crime is a problem. 91% of black people say that. But here's white Dan Goldman saying this is bad. It's just dictator stuff. Clip 4.
Right now, the question is,
are Republican members of Congress going not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator?
Oh, God.
That was embarrassing.
And again, that's a guy who has a 24-hour police presence. He's a member of Congress. He has a security detail. And he doesn't care. That's a white guy being like, no, this is a fascist dictator rolling over the government. But you know what black people are saying? Thank you. Because if you live in D.C., I've told D.C. is bad, dude. They used to have walking tours. They're now called running tours because you're getting chased, okay, by hobbits and junkies. I mean, if you've ever rented a Lime scooter in D.C., you're just playing that 80s arcade game Outrun. Did you guys ever play Outrun? We got in a car and you just like kind of outrunning the cops. It was like a speed racer game. That's every scooter in Washington, D.C. You're just getting on it and you're outrunning some pantless time traveler with a needle stuck in his arm. Or you go to CVS and the deodorant is locked up. Think about that. Only in a woke liberal city could the deodorant be locked up, but the criminals roaming free. And I'm just amazed at this because some people have gotten the angle here. Like Joe Scarborough, to his credit, is like, hey, we look really dumb right now. People are dying. Why would we say it's bad that Trump's trying to stop that? Like, how do you go home tonight to a poor family, to a struggling single mom and go, hey, I know you can't pay the bills. But more importantly, the Democrats tried to stop Trump from lowering the murder rate. Like, who in their right mind's going to be like, oh, well, thank you, Democrats. You kept the murderers out on the streets. Amen. And that's the biggest problem facing our society. People used to reduce it to Trump derangement syndrome. It is not Trump derangement syndrome. If you're mad about lowering the murder rate, you're just effing stupid. There it is, Fox Across America with Jimmy Fallon, fired up to talk to this next guest. He is a Republican candidate for mayor here in New York City, and he's got his work cut out for him because New York right now looks like Gotham before Batman comes, okay? But he has the cape on. He is left Wayne Manor, and he is here to save the day. Curtis Sliwa in the house. The crowd goes wild. Good to see you.
Jimmy. That is such a great introduction. Gotham City, Batman. You know, there have been episodes which have had an integration of guardian angels with Batman.
Is that true?
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
See, you didn't get that comic book series, did you?
Listen, I'm in New York. I'm happy there is a Batman. Okay, this city is so liberal they wanted to defund the cop and the village people. Let me ask
you a question though. Batman, Robin. What happened to Robin?
That is a weird ask.
Yeah, we're not talking about Robin, the sidekick of Howard Stern. We're talking about what happened to Boy Wonder Robin.
Yeah, the Robin from the Stern Show, Sag Harbor happened.
Yeah,
Money happened. A mansion happened. She's out of here.
Exactly.
But the Boy Wonder, maybe that was it. Maybe he's the them wonder now. Maybe he transitioned. I don't know.
Maybe the idea that there was some pedophile activity there, and they just decided to eliminate him. I mean, I remember, we would run home from school. See, I've got you by a few years. And then we would watch the Batman series on TV. Kapow!
Yeah, I remember.
Bang!
Yeah.
And this was great.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, Boy Wonder was no more.
He was gone.
And they never explained it. Like in the middle of a novella and a soap opera, when all of a sudden a lead character dies, at least they say, oh, he had cardiac arrest, and you see him in the ICU. Nobody ever explained what happened to Boy Wonder Robin.
And this is why you need to elect Curtis Sliwa as the next mayor in New York City. He's going to solve the issues facing the rank and file voter, okay? The average middle-class voter who grew up on Batman is owed an explanation. This is like our generation's Jimmy Hoffa or something like that. We need to know. Well, give me this, because there are other people out there with a heavy investment in fighting crime this week, obviously President Trump. Is it crazy to you to see Mom Donnie going on a 5-borough anti-Trump tour, knowing how popular Trump's policies are?
Well, it depends on what borough you're in.
Okay.
He was okay on day 1 and day 2, Manhattan and Brooklyn. And then he hit Staten, Italy.
Did he ever?
And the great relentless patriot Scott Lebedo and the Curtis Sliwa Brigade. And he was in the Istanbul restaurant in a place called Stapleton, which is close to the Verrazano Bridge as you could get to tail it out of there.
Yep.
And he had a few people inside, and there were like hundreds outside with Curtis Sliwa for mayor sign, Scott Lebedo, who gets arrested for foul language. Now, if there's one thing about New York City, you being a cab driver, you imagine if anybody got arrested for foul language, you could kill people in New York City and you don't get arrested.
You know, do you remember when Trump joked he could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and get away with it? Like, I want to go back and tell him, you know, these days a lot of people could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and get away with it.
And Zohran Mamdani picked a restaurant that originally had backed Eric Adams, the Istanbul restaurant.
Oh.
Even the Turks have abandoned Eric Adams' attempt at re-election. He's one and done. When the Turks are no longer giving money to Eric Adams,
that's a bad
it's
sign.
over.
Because that was above and below the table from what I was told. That's not a good sign.
Remember, there was that famous picture of Zohran Mamdani giving the finger to Christopher Columbus statue in Astoria. And he's apologized for everything of late. He's had an epiphany. I really love the cops. They're protecting me now. You know, they have weapons and they drive me around in an SUV. I'm no longer treating New York City like a mosh pit. You know, everything is great. I love the police. Yeah, but what about Christopher Columbus? You gave him the finger. So he goes over to Staten, Italy.
Yeah.
And he thinks those people are going to forget that. Boy, did they give him the finger. And used a lot of foul language. In fact, they needed Fels Naphtha soap if they were Gentiles and Rokish laundry soap if they were Jews. But universally, they said, get the F out of here, Zohran Mamdani.
Yes, they did.
Because there are certain places in New York City, it's Trump land.
Yep.
But I must tell you, Jimmy, the majority of places are not.
Yeah,
no. They do not like Donald Trump in a lot of places in New York City. And remember, I am the one Republican who goes into every neighborhood where the only Republican they've ever seen is Abraham Lincoln on a $5 bill. And then I get trumped there.
Yeah.
Whoa, you see what Trump did? What's up? And I said, would you brush your teeth, man? You got such bad breath. Halitosis, man. Oh, you're talking about me, huh? See, I got to go in there. I got to defend the Trumpster.
That's the gig, man. You have to. Curtis Sliwa was in studio, fighting a good fight, as he has been here on the mean streets of New York City for decades. And that's the one thing about right now that I think really plays into your hands. The Democrats have turned fighting crime into a negative. And Mamdani is right there with him. I mean, he's been out there saying, I wouldn't let Trump send the National Guard here. Well, you know who'd want the National Guard here? A lot of people. Okay, a lot of cab driving buddies of mine would certainly like to live in New York where they don't have to feel like they've got to decide if every passenger is going to go home or to a landfill with them in the back seat. So, you know, defense wins championships. That's the adage in sports. Trump is trying to play that defense on the streets. That has to play to your strengths, no?
Wait a second. Defense wins championships?
Oh, no.
Didn't you ever follow Air Coryell, where all you did was just pump back there and throw it 90 yards down the field and just touchdown after touchdown after touchdown? Don't ever play defense?
No, that
Come
is
on,
true.
take it to the offense. Come on, Jimmy. What defense? Do you realize how many NBA players never play defense? Ever.
Yeah.
And they make $35 million a year and can't nor won't play defense. There was a guy. Let me see if I can conjure up this memory. When last seen, he was in Body Bag City, Baltimore, and he was doing this rap, and his rap was like really bad. Snitches get stitches and end up in ditches.
Oh, man.
I'm going to let that lay on your brain real quick. Making gazillions of dollars with the Denver Nuggets for a while, and then the New York Knicks, and then eventually, well, Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, Carmelo. I was going to get there. I had you.
All offense, never played defense, and made millions.
Yep, but they did not win championships.
And what was it that I think Robert Parrish told him from the Celtics? Is your lovely wife, does she like Cheerios, the Honey Nuts?
Oh, no.
Remember? And he went absolutely berserk on the hardwood.
Anthony, not happy about that.
Now, why have we turned this into a Curtis Sliwa Super Sports Spectacular?
I love this. This is, you know, if we don't win mayor, we should be running a professional sports league. I have clearly established.
You know, I've done sports talk radio three times, and 3 times I've been fired. The boys in Bristol, Connecticut said, why is he making fun of Bud Selig by saying he wears high-water pants and has the worst rug that he's ever seen in his life? The commissioner of baseball spends millions of dollars on ESPN. So guess what? The Curtis Sliwa Super Sports Spectacular was canceled.
It ain't right, Curtis. It ain't right.
I don't trust the boys in Bristol.
Nobody does. Nobody. Everybody's been watching woke ESPN for a few years now. It's not this. It's not. We just added 2 male cheerleaders to the Minnesota Vikings. Did you see that?
Whoa.
Guys with pom-poms.
Wait.
This is real.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Bush 43 was a cheerleader.
Is that true?
Yes.
Like a male cheerleader that lifted up the girls?
Yes.
That's crazy to me.
Hey, look, it takes men and women together, flip them up in the air like they just don't care.
These guys have pom-poms, and they're wearing the dresses. This is like a Dylan Mulvaney. This is,
of course, in Minneapolis.
Yeah, of course, Tim Waltzville, yeah.
The Vikings. Yeah. You think the Vikings, real Vikings, would have tolerated that? They had to have wenches who would bring me my grog. And by the way, do you believe that it was Leif Erikson and Eric the Red that discovered the New World, and the maritime provinces? Or do you believe that it was St. Brendan the Navigator who the Irish nuns tried to beat into my brain? It was not Christopher Columbus.
That's a true story.
Do you believe any of that?
Nah, I don't know. I think that some of those nuns just had an axe to grind. I got beat up by a few of them.
Let me tell you, they'd hit you so hard your mother would feel the vibrations. When you came home, your mother would say, you got hit by the nuns again. How would you know, Mom? I felt the vibrations.
Those nuns are actually good for the economy, though, because a whole generation of people grew up going to dominatrixes because of those nuns. Hey, do you have any paddles? Do you have any wood paddles?
By the way, I must tell you, starting the Guardian Angels in London, where they're fascinated by the dominatrix, all the Fleet Street, the tabloids. Yeah. So apparently the top dominatrix wanted to donate 10,000 pounds to the startup of the Guardian Angels in London.
For real?
And I rejected it. And I figured, I can't expect it from, a dominatrix. They were all offended.
Really?
In fact, in the House of Parliament, the House of Commons, what an ungrateful American. Here was Miss Trixie, or whatever her name was, who wanted to donate 10,000 pounds to the startup of the Guardian Angels in Wandsworth, where I got stabbed, by the way, in a council estate. What an ingrate.
Come on.
Now, they said, would Benjamin Franklin have refused the offer of 10,000 pounds from a dominatrix? And I said, that's right. He went over to Paris during our Revolutionary War and was the king of the court. And thank God he was, because he kept us afloat financially.
Did he ever? Benjamin Franklin. These are the history lessons you get from a mayor, Curtis Sliwa.
You have to. You have to be based in history.
I agree. I agree 100%. I was actually, it's funny because I was thrown, when you said 10,000 pounds, I wasn't thinking currency. When you said, the first thing I thought of was Stacey Abrams. But hold on, let's stay focused here. What's going on?
Man.
We're telling jokes on the radio show.
Is she using Ozempic yet?
Yeah.
Aren't they all?
I'm the only guy on TV who isn't. Okay, I am the only guy
How
on TV.
do we know? Have we tested you for that?
How do we know? We look at me.
You're very robust. What can we call you?
Looking like a before model.
You're El Jefe.
Yeah, there it is. That's a good way to say it. Give me this, okay? Chuck Schumer. So Chuck Schumer responds to this national crime debate by saying he feels safe walking down the street in D.C. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say a senator is probably in a different part of town than the average person in D.C., no?
Well, first off, the schmuck to putz, Chuck E. Cheese Schumer, he's both. Will soon be wearing a keffiyeh on his head. Remember, he had a book about anti-Semitism. How many copies did that sell?
Yeah.
Not many, right?
The best.
So he walks around with armed guards. But there have been congressmen and congresswomen held up at gunpoint. Huh? In fact, a Congresswoman Meng, who I know personally, a Democrat, I don't share the ideology. I know her children. I was friendly with her. She got held up at gunpoint. I have guardian angels in Southeast Anacostia in Washington, D.C., where 12-year-olds do not only drive-by shootings, but carjackings, and there are no consequences. It's a federal city.
Yeah.
The federal government pays the money to run the federal city. Now, the Democrats would like Washington, D.C. to become a state like Puerto Rico so that they can sort of inch their way back into the majority. That ain't going to happen.
Nope.
But Trump is making the federal city, which is a tourist destination, safe for everybody, but especially the poor, the indigent, blacks, and many of the new migrants who live in the projects in Northwest and Southeast. I know it well.
Yep.
That is a rough town, D.C., and at least he's trying to make it so that it's safe for everybody.
Yeah. Listen, I agree with you, and the people of D.C. agree with him. We were reading a Washington Post poll earlier that 91% of Washington, D.C. residents think crime is out of control. But somebody who's over at a MSNBC studio getting hair and makeup is like, no, it's fine.
Oh, of course. They're on the other side of the Potomac. They give you an image like they're on the D.C. side. They're in Arlington, Fairfax. Oh, no, everything's great over there.
It's fine here at the Ritz-Carlton. There's not a sign of crime.
By the way, there have been problems there since Mayor Crackhead Barry.
Yeah.
Not only was he the mayor, but then when he came back with his recovery, they elected him alderman of Southeastern Anacostia.
It's crazy to me. And you think about how indifferent you have to become to crime that you can get caught smoking crack and still get elected again. Like, that's bananas. But that's what happened to D.C. So the fact that he wants to step in is obviously a good thing. Would a Mayor Curtis Sliwa welcome the presence of Donald Trump in the National Guard if New York needed the crime help?
Hell no. Are you crazy? We're not in the position of Washington, D.C. Now, look, crime is an issue for me in this mayoral campaign because the mayor, Eric Adams, says, you have the impression that there's a crime problem, Jimmy.
Yeah.
The perception of crime.
Yeah.
Now, you were just driving your cab. Somebody put a toolie to your head and held you up, and you had an X-lax attack right there. And you had to immediately change your BVDs and then pray that, my God, I got to get back into the cab and they're going to rob me again. But that's your perception. But we're not everybody. We're in no way, shape, or form where D.C., Chicago is. I have guardian angels in all these cities. I know the difference. New Orleans, St. Louis, which nobody talks about. That is tough in St. Louis, north and south. And then across the MISSISSISSIPPI River, which looks ugly and brown and garish, is East St. Louis.
Yeah.
The toughest small city in America. You do not want to be lost in East St. Louis. It's a scene out of the Twilight Zone. By the way, who is the greatest purveyor of that kind of TV, Rod Serling? Remember, he'd smoke 3 packs a day.
Bang him out.
Finally, in Binghamton, New York, they put up a statue to their most famous human being, Rod Serling, in a park there. You know how many years it took him to do that?
Long time.
40.
Too many.
Everything in New York State takes forever to do. If it had been south of the Mason-Dixon line, they would have put him right there in Richmond. Remember where they used to have the row of all the Confederate generals
and
Arthur Ashe, and then they took him out. I mean, this scene out of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, this is a really dumb time to be alive. But you know what? We got reinforcements coming. Election day around the corner. Slee was feeling good. You watch the interview. It all went on. There's a lot of things trending the right way for this city. One of which is that I think people are catching up to Mamdani in the sense that they get it's a scam. The rent control department, like as a cab driver, okay, I was living in not the best neighborhood. I was living in a 5th floor run-up, okay? You weren't walking, you were running. And the idea that I was paying, $3,000, $4,000 a month for a 1-bedroom, and this guy who's loaded is in a rent control department, is a real indifference to the little guy, no?
Well, wait a second. Let's go beyond that. You're really jealous that he's a gentried landowner in the land of Idi Amin in Uganda, protected when he goes there to check on his, actually, it could be Bonanza.
Yeah.
That was before your time, but Bonanza, Joe Cartwright, Horse, and all them. They had miles of acreage. This guy owns miles of acreage in Idi Amin land, Uganda. And when he went there for an extended honeymoon, what was that, his 3rd honeymoon?
Yeah.
After that luxurious wedding in Dubai, the money laundering capital of the Persian Gulf. No, make that the Arabian Gulf. Boy, Trump could have fun with that one. If you happen to be Sunni, it is the Arabian Gulf. If you happen to be Shia, it's the Persian Gulf. It's sort of like the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America. But the point being is, he was protected by armed commandos wearing masks, AK-47s at the ready.
Yep.
That's what Idi Amin used to have.
Yeah, straight fraud. But, like all people who support the gay community, he went to Uganda where it's a criminal punishment.
And by the way, this whole thing about rent-stabilized apartments, the one who enabled people like Zorhan, the trust fund baby, to be able to live in a rent-stabilized apartment, was Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Oh, man. And that's what we have to close on, Kurt. Handsy Andy Cuomo.
Remember, slapping fannies and killing grannies. Don't ever forget that.
You heard it here first. Curtis Sliwa, you're the man. Oh, girl, it is Fox Across America with Jimmy Fallon. Fired up to talk to this next guest. He just got back from Hawaii. Normally he looks excited when he walks into the studio. Not today.
No.
Superstar comedian, social media influencer, and a guest on this weekend's Fox News Saturday Night with Jimmy Fallon. Charles McBee is back. Aloha.
What's going on, buddy?
Did you know that I did not know this? Do you know Dog the Bounty Hunter is Hawaiian?
No.
This is the funniest thing in the world. So he has a mullet you could see from space.
Right.
And he runs around tackling bad guys, but his go-to vibe is he's an aloha guy.
But he's, not born.
He grew up there.
All right.
I'm not saying he's a native Hawaiian. He might be some other ethnicity.
Yeah.
But he is Hawaiian. Pretty wild, though, right?
Yeah, it's kind of wild. But I also like I've gone over there a few times, and it's also not that. It's not that new. You see a lot of people who are just like, I'm here, I'm off the grid, I'm done. If you're gonna bum it out, Hawaii is the best place to do it.
Amen. Same thing. You know what's interesting since you say that? Witness protection.
Yeah.
It's like, why did everybody go to Iowa?
Why?
Nothing against Iowa. I'm just saying you're further away in Hawaii, and it's probably nicer.
Yeah. There's actually like a law there. You can technically live on the beach as long as you have a fishing rod.
Is that true?
You just plant a fishing rod and nobody can tell you to leave.
And you're just hanging out.
You're just there now. That's where you live now.
Little real estate tricks. That's what you have, Charles McBee. You can be a squatter on the beach.
Right.
Like at first we're like, wow, thanks for that. But then you're like, oh yeah, you don't have a house. The minute you said it, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's because.
Yeah.
But hey.
I have like a house and stuff. It's not so bad. Well, that's good. You probably should have stayed. It's been a bit of a food fight in the news cycle this week, but nothing we can't handle. You know what you're doing on Fox News Saturday Night this weekend? Did they tell you yet?
No one ever tells me anything.
It's a great story. I don't even want you to comment now. I want you to save it for Saturday.
All right.
A Bravo actress went crazy and said any white person who voted for Trump should be banned from every restaurant except Cracker Barrel. And of the mind being that only white people go to Cracker Barrel.
Right.
Now, I don't need you to comment now.
I won't, but I have one.
I know you do. Save it for the game, kid. But it's just like, if we were going to have a larger conversation, it would be about Bravo actresses. Just like, you don't have to do this anymore.
Yeah.
This is the one thing. We've been trying to make this point to celebrities, you and me, on this show for 5 years. You have a really good racket.
Yeah.
And just go enjoy your racket.
Do it. Just do the thing.
You don't have to pretend to want to help the world. You don't have to do the equality like at the Oscars. No one wants a lecture about inequality from a woman whose dress costs more than their house.
Yeah.
We don't care. You don't have to do it.
I have a friend. I won't name the friend. And if she ever heard this, she might be mad at me. Don't be mad at me, but it is funny. She's, very progressive, all the things, right? Very left, all the things, right? Cool. And she was very much against like Target and the whole thing. And I remember I had like a little Target, gotta get my little Target seltzers or whatever. And she made like a face and it was just like, oh, I could never. She recently did an ad for Target. She's posting it all over social media. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on here.
Because everyone in showbiz is telling you how they could never accept an opportunity that they haven't been offered.
Right.
Then they get offered. Like, oh, wait, what? That's the greatest thing in the world. It's like when we were growing up, I would definitely can't name a name on this one. There was a girl that we had heard, we were in like 8th or 9th grade, and there was a girl in our grade that was doing like junior and college stuff. Who became a lot more attractive really in a hurry. We're like, wait, we can do what? That's on the table? Right. Hold on here. And it's the same thing. The Target ad is the middle school equivalent of someone putting out. You don't have a lot of options. You're not going to say no. Showbiz is a rough, tough business. Charles McBee's in studio if you're just joining us. Another thing that went on this week that I thought was really funny is Trump is doing this where he's trying to lower crime. A CNN host, Abby Phillip, talented in her own right, she referred to him as Batman. I don't think Batman is a negative.
Wait, she referred to Trump as Batman?
She goes, oh, now Donald Trump's Batman now. He's going to save Gotham City.
Oh, okay. I guess I see what she did there. To me, it comes across as someone who's trying to reference something that they've never watched or has never been into.
There's that, too. Now, if she would have said Trump is Ben Affleck Batman, she wins. She wins. But if you leave it general, it doesn't land the same because people like comic book movies.
Yeah. And also Batman, I guess it could go either way, but like if you had to say like Joker, like Heath Ledger, Dark Knight Joker.
Yeah.
That would have been a little bit more accurate because he is an agent of chaos. But for some thinks it's for good chaos, some thinks it's bad chaos. But either way, he's an agent for chaos and he's extremely popular.
Yeah, people really like him. Have you seen Joker 2?
No, but I've heard
Lincoln was so upset.
I've heard things.
Lincoln was so upset. Lincoln liked Joker 1 because there's a lot of
like
awkward
Joker 1
weirdness
too.
in it and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it is king of comedy. It's just that template, you know. But he liked Joker 1. Joker 1 is a cross between king of comedy and Taxi Driver because he freaks out and gets violent at the end. But Joker 2, Lincoln was actually like really bothered by.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I don't mean to spoil it for you guys, but no one watched it anyway, so it's not like I'm crushing some market to watch it. But he's like, yeah, they kill him at the end, and they do bad things to him in prison and then kill him. And he's like, if you went there to root for the Joker, like, you really didn't sign up for that.
And then there's a whole musical in between. It's weird.
It's like imagine you go to watch Sex and the City and they implement Sharia law 2 minutes.
Well, the thing about Joker 1 was like a lot of people on the left or whatever got mad because it was like, oh, you're platforming toxic male energy, blah, blah, blah. So it was almost like Joker 2 was like a my bad to them. But it's like, why?
You didn't have to.
You didn't have to do again.
You don't have to do this. It's the same thing with Sydney Sweeney. It's like if you liked the ad, you liked it. If you didn't, who cares? It's just an ad. It's just an ad for jeans. Nobody cares. But the fact that they gave it so much oxygen, did it help us? Yes, because big networks, the Times wrote about it, MSNBC wrote about it. It gave us like 2 weeks of content on my Saturday night show.
Of course.
During 2 weeks of the summer where you usually have nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're telling jokes about the Iraq War.
Yeah.
And then instead we have like this new war. We're like, what's happening?
It's also just a great excuse to just throw up, hey, another photo of Sydney Sweeney.
The gratuitous breast photos we have shown on my TV show in the last 2 weeks, stunning. Sometimes we don't even have an excuse. We're covering like something in Syria and we just cut to her boobs.
Yeah.
Ratings have never been better.
Yeah.
We're talking to comedian Charles McBee. So someone threw a Subway sandwich at a National Guardsman last night in D.C. The guy turned out to be a member of the DOJ, was charged with a felony and fired from his job for throwing a Subway sandwich. I feel like the guy just ordered wrong. Like if I ordered a good sandwich and I was on my way home to eat it, there is nothing that's going to make me throw that sandwich.
Yeah, but, you know, no offense, but good sandwich and Subway have not been in the same sentence in a very long time. So if you're going to throw a sandwich at somebody.
Charles McBee is here, sponsored by Jersey Mike's.
I'm like,
congrats on the deal. I had no idea.
Hopefully they're not a sponsor of the show. But
are you a Jersey Mike's, a Quiznos? What am I dealing with here,
McBee?
Go. Everybody's got an opinion.
I'm Danny DeVito over here.
Whatever it takes. But I laughed at that. And again, if I like the sandwich, I'm not throwing a sandwich. Of all the things.
No.
You know.
I wonder what was in the sandwich. Was it an impromptu throw?
He must have been hammered. Yeah, he was walking home. He's got a little sandwich in his left hand, right?
Yeah.
And he sees the National Guard, and he's like, ah! And he just throws it at point blank at the guy, and it doesn't, like, explode on him because it's wrapped up. But again, if you ordered the right sandwich, like when you've gotten to that place where you've procured the food.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You made it from scratch.
Yeah,
you know exactly what's in it.
Yeah.
And then you go, you know what?
Yeah. Like, to me, that's sadder than him getting fired. You'll find another job.
You're less likely to give the sandwich to a homeless guy on the corner.
Yeah.
Than you are
to throw it at somebody. Think about that. Oh, man, McBee. This is why we can't have nice things. What else did I see this week? I was on the New York Post scrolling. So there is a Democrat pick in the South Carolina governor's race. I don't even know the guy's name. But he got arrested in his underwear while calling himself God and Superman.
Okay.
Now, there was a time in American life where this would be the end of your political career.
Right.
This might not be it for him. He might be okay. Do you remember in 2020, Trump's campaign chair, Brad Parscale?
Yeah.
He got handcuffed shirtless in his own driveway. And he was like on something and like screaming at the sun.
Bro, Dean got derailed for going, yeah!
Yeah, Howard Dean.
Yeah.
He couldn't yell at a rally.
Couldn't yell at a rally.
Like, you can't yell at a rally. This guy's in a Speedo claiming to be Superman.
They're like, it's fine.
We got to donate. We got to donate. I mean, look at Cuomo. Cuomo got run out for groping staffers and killing old people with COVID. He's back. He ain't going to win, but he's back.
He's back.
Mom Donnie's up by 19 right now. Curtis Sliwa, who's outside the studio when you got here, he represents the Republican side of this thing. Guardian Angels, who have been on the streets of New York, and the streets of pretty much every big city in the world for about 40 years.
Yeah.
There's a fortuitous bounce of the ball right now if crime is a national debate, because what I think the Democrats are screwing up, I'm going to play you a clip from MSNBC. It's Morning Joe, who is actually, he gets this one right, I think. He's saying 91% of D.C. residents have major concerns about crime.
Yep.
And it absolutely skewers between white neighborhoods and black neighborhoods. And he thinks that the Democrats are trying to make this political issue when crime is like a human issue. We all want safe streets, you know?
Chris Rock had that great joke.
Give it a minute.
I don't know if it's, no, maybe not Chris Rock. Actually, it was Tupac. Tupac actually said this. He was just like, why do people think that black people enjoy living next to the criminals? Like, we want to be in safe neighborhoods too. Just because, you know, the criminal might happen to be black doesn't mean like we are okay with it.
It's not the Dana Dute joke. Do you remember Dana Dute?
No.
Well, Dana Dute was like an open mic comic who got some writing work. He might have even made it all the way to, what was the show Eugene Levy was on with his son, Schitt's Creek? He might have wound up on Schitt's Creek or one of those shows. But anyway, when I was starting out doing open mics in a post 9/11 New York, he was like, yeah, I just flew in on Emirates. He goes, it's a totally different experience. He's like, you fly American Airlines. They're like, there's a terrorist on the plane. Oh my God, get him. He's like, on Emirates. They're like, there's a terrorist on the plane. They're like, hey, can you take a picture with my kid? I love this guy. And yeah, they try to paint the neighborhood as that. Here is Joe Scarborough talking about this. I want to give him credit. I spend so much time bashing him. If someone makes a point I agree with, I want him to get credit. Here it is, clip 10.
91% of Washington residents say crime is a problem. 91%. 51%, it is an extremely serious problem. We've had people before put this in racial terms. And this is, I must say, this is one thing that I think Democrats have gotten so wrong about crime. So wrong about crime. Let me just read the Washington Post here. There are stark divides among lines of race and income in the poll, with black residents and lower income residents significantly more worried about crime than white residents and those with higher incomes.
And basically what he's saying is, yeah, a white senator like Chuck Schumer might have a different security
Everything's fine around here. What are they talking about?
Dude, I'm going to play you his clip.
What crime?
He goes, I actually feel fine. Listen to this. Clip 35. Listen to this.
Senator, are you scared walking around Washington, D.C. these days?
I walk around all the time. I wake up early in the morning sometimes and take a nice walk.
He has a security detail.
He said this while he was grilling cheeseburgers, by the way. I don't know. You know what I'm referencing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said this with the raw cheeseburgers. Nobody wants a safety lecture from the guy with the raw cheeseburgers. But again, it's like
it's crazy.
If you ask Trump if there's a traffic problem, no, not when you're president. They block every road you're on. He's like, what are they talking about? Traffic. There's no traffic. It's crazy. But they don't get it. And this is the thing. It's like certain issues in politics are just human issues, and you should just stay out of the way. You know what I mean? There's so many battles to pick in politics.
Right.
Safety shouldn't be a battle. Just shouldn't have to be a battle. Whatever party you're in, it does not have to be a battle.
It shouldn't be a battle. And as long as, the fear of, coming in and taking over the police or whatever the case might be, as long as it doesn't become a thing of like blending, blurred lines of like now innocent, black people are being targeted in any kind of way or that kind of thing, then, the numbers will say, we'll see what happens. If it comes to that, the crime rate goes lower, then
why not?
Hey, but,
why not?
As long as everything is on the I would just
like to go back next time I'm in D.C. I'd like to go to a CVS where they don't have to unlock the toothpaste, like it's Hannibal Lecter and it can't travel freely.
They're locking up the deodorant and letting out the criminals.
It's not right, I tell you.